Hi everyone, Whitney Young here, HGA's program coordinator. Thank you for joining us again today for another round of Thread Talks. I want to go over a few announcements while we let people join this broadcast. We hope you're enjoying all the events we've had so far and will continue to join us throughout the week. I wanted to highlight a few events that we have coming up. We have another Marketplace Live later today at 3, featuring Eugene Textile Center. Then I hope you'll join us for our 5 o'clock happy hour to learn more about our HGA Board of Directors. They help guide our organization. And then finally today we are ending it with a studio tour featuring Aaron Miller at 6:15 p.m. Eastern. I also want to remind everybody, we still have open the option to participate in our fashion show, which will take place on Sunday. So if you've made a piece recently while you've been home during quarantine, or any item that you've made over time and would love to show it off live to our attendees, we would love to have you present. You don't have to have any experience, you just need to have a camera to be able to show off your piece, and our lovely Kathy Group will be moderating the session and giving us a little background on your piece. So I think we've allowed people the opportunity to get in. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick off this round of Thread Talks. Thread Talks is our play off of TED Talks, and it'll be an hour long, featuring 3 presentations of 15 minutes each. First up is Marilyn, and she is going to be giving us a little insight into local cloth, which is in Asheville, North Carolina. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Marilyn.
Oh, thanks, and welcome everyone. I'm really excited to be here. I'm here actually in my house because I'm still quarantining. So you'll get to see local cloth. So I just wanted to first tell you a little bit something about myself. I retired in 2014 and I share living here in Arizona and North Carolina. So I split my time. And in Arizona, I returned to some of my hobbies and I took up weaving on a floor loom at our local Weavers Club. And then when I returned to North Carolina, I really wanted to continue my passion. So I purchased a Mighty Wolf and I had purchased that, and I'm certainly enjoying it right now, particularly through this pandemic time. I've learned about local cloth, our organization, through a local friend. So I started taking classes there, and missing part of my professional lecturing, I joined the education committee. And from the education committee, now I serve as their board member a year ago. So it's been really a whirlwind tour for me. So I'm here to tell you about our unique organization in a wonderful area of Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can start seeing the presentation, which is here. And so just give me a minute for it to come up. And let me put it on slideshow from the beginning. So good. So let me see if I can go to the next one.
Marilyn, are you still there?
I see the right-hand side. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you. I think it froze for a minute, but I think you're back. Marilyn? Marilyn, you're on mute.
Okay, what about that?
Now good. Now start over. We didn't hear the first part. You were on mute.
Okay. Well, our project actually began with a small group of fiber enthusiasts that were envisioning a new way to grow the craft economy here in Western North Carolina region. We were using the development strategies traditional to the third world countries. And these were 2 strategies. We looked at import substitution and adding value to our local products, which has been very successful in growing our local food movement. So we decided to apply that over to the local cloth movement. So we actually started in 2011 when we had a very small group of fiber enthusiasts that envisioned a new way to grow our craft economy here in Western North Carolina. So we support a thriving community consisting of farmers, small-scale fiber mills, fiber artists, suppliers, designers, sewists and weavers, and educators and students. So it doesn't want to advance. There we go. So we actually did some research at the very beginning. We looked closer at how we got to local cloth. So we looked at a survey. We found out that in our area, ceramics was the #1. Other was listed as #2, but #3 came fibers. So we knew that we were going to do really well in starting this group. And if you look at what we have to offer here in Asheville area and the surrounding area, we have a lot of art professionals and fiber art hobbyists like myself. Galleries, look at 80 galleries within fiber art. We have like 83 textile related retail shops. We have a lot of yarn shops within the area. And most importantly, we have fiber animal farms. We have cotton farms. We have teaching schools, which is really wonderful to us, both community college and places like John Campbell and Penland. We have 12 textile mills, both that are large and small. So if you look at us, Asheville is right in the middle, right here, and we look at a 100-mile radius that goes all around here. And that encompasses East Tennessee, Kentucky up here, Virginia, Upper South Carolina, and Georgia. So we have a wonderful area that we can draw upon, in which we have our approach. We want to raise awareness and appreciation for the local plant and animal fiber, as well as the fiber art. So we have a wonderful blend of all three things. We want to increase in access to and availability of our local textiles and fiber. We want to strengthen our own economy viability to our local creative community and help them reinvest in the textile industry here in North Carolina. And finally, we want to advocate for new markets, our programs and services that add value to our local products and create jobs. And we're just now expanding on this during the COVID time. So here is our picture of our studio and our organization that we have. It's a wonderful area. As you can see back here, this is like our library that we have, and sitting and talking and networking and gathering. Here we bring this PR piece out to the various events that we have, and also to educate new people that come in that are non-members, and they can see everything that we do. We have fashion shows, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. We have a lot of educational rooms. So this is just looking from the back to the front area. We do rent this space because it's within a large building. It houses many of our materials and our supplies area. You can see here's our logo, but you can see all the local cloths that we have here. We're close to 300 members. We have just hired, just this year during the pandemic, right before the pandemic, half-time assistant that's helping us, particularly with our marketing and our PR and our website, so that we can get the words out, because we all work as volunteers. So this is just a wonderful volunteer aspect. We have to go ahead and have classes in this space. So it shows the other area. And that's how, when we have our classes, that's how we pay for rent for this area. So members can come in and use. These are the triangle looms that I purchased. And now that we've had so many classes, they've been paid for, and it also pays for the studio. But again, I just want to say we are all volunteers here that is offering this fiber group. So let me tell you a little bit more in depth about our organization. We have study groups, and particularly that's might be of interest to this group is we have one that's natural dye and medicinal plants. Here in Asheville, North Carolina, we can grow a lot of medicinal plants. So we use that and bring it in to our dye lab, and we dye with our natural yarns that we have. Then we have spinners. Here's our wonderful Judy Judson, who's our president of our organization. and you might have known her. She has started a spinning group, and she has these monthly meetings that cover a broad range of topics, including different techniques of hand spinning and fiber processing, how to use spinning tools, and other topics that are determined by the group. She kind of conducts this breed study, spinning and applying samples of various types of wool, mohair, alpaca that we have here in the area, and even rabbits that have been raised in our Blue Ridge Mountain region. So we take the yarn from the farmers, we go ahead and dye it. Now we're spinning it. Now the most exciting thing is that in October, we're going to be starting an interest group that will be meeting at Local Cloth. And this is a group for pattern sewers to discuss their patterns, pattern modifications, fibers, their notions, their techniques, the machines that we use there, and any of their latest creations. So I, as a weaver, have this long cloth that now I can go into designers and say, please help me. And again, I just have to stress, this is all volunteers, the experts that we have here in the area, and it's just really wonderful to have these. And these study groups are all online. We don't meet at our studio, so we meet online, and it's been well received that way. We also have workshops, and we're starting to go back because North Carolina, we're starting to allow people to go back with small gatherings. So we're going back and teaching in-person workshops with our mask on, certainly, but I teach the triangle loom weaving. We also have things that introduction to weaving with software. We have tapestry weaving. So we offer a lot what our volunteers and our members want. We survey them once a year and saying, what would you like to have? They tell us, and we go out and find the experts, and then we go ahead and have these workshops. And again, that pays for our rent. We also have online classes, such as the Indigo class that we have been having for a while, and they really explore this biochemistry of organic fat, and they learn how to troubleshoot and adjust and maintain their vat. So they're allowed to ask a lot of questions online, which has really been good. We even expand out to simple book binding, so we can bind with our material that we weave with, our other binding materials. Also look into introduction to digital textile design and spoon flower printing. So it's all been really fun, very exciting. You know, with this last one, we were able to design fabric from our dresses or even from our own weaving. And this virtual class introduces us then to this digital textile design and printing, which has been really fascinating. Then I think that's been really good that we first started were these visual tours, something that the Handwoven Guild of America is doing. We're reaching out to all our members again, and this is our Good Vibration Farm. So Marcia, she has a whole flock of goats, and she loves to, she keeps them as their family, and she gives us this wonderful tour, and then she processes her yarn in Colorado, Tennessee, Wisconsin, but more importantly, she processes her fiber here in North Carolina, so that keeps us really going. So her learning curve was steep, but it was really wonderful to see. We had Mary Joan and her colleague that reached out to us from Western Massachusetts, and she is a weaver, weaves from weft-based pieces, including tapestry, and she's been experimenting with indigo shibori techniques and upcycling the rugs, excuse me. So it was fascinating to see her visual tour. And last, we have Teresa, that here in our own area, we had Macon County Arts and Heritage Center that's right here in Franklin, North Carolina, where she showed us all her looms and her spinning and her wheels, but she also broadened out because she got a grant about doing hats and whatnot. So we kind of expand, which is just really wonderful. We also have these special events of Fiber Field Day, and that's really wonderful because we provide education to actually teach residents and visitors that come about our materials and our resources available in our region. It also gives our fiber animal farmers a place to sell their newly fleece and their fiber products. and also provides a place for our fiber artists and hobbyists like myself to buy local materials and actually to meet the farmers. So we're trying to have this again every 2 to 3 years, and with this COVID, it's kind of on place. So we also finally have special events for our farmers. We try to get our farmers going, and so we've had that. Then the last thing I want to share that we have is this special events of project handmade fashion shows. So we pair up, as you can see, we had Karen Dundee as our weaver, and she's here in Hendersonville. She partnered up with a designer and seamstress, as well as Barb Butler and Vicki Bennett. And so we take part who does the weaving with a designer and seamstress, and we have this wonderful fashion show. So just to end then, just to tell you thanks. I appreciate everyone visiting our local cloth here in Asheville. If you're ever here, please let me know. You can reach me at lclocalcloth as mlyhaas@gmail.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram. That's something new that I'm getting into as well, but certainly appreciate you attending. And I know that you could develop something like this in your own area. We just feel so fortunate here in North Carolina. Thanks.
Thank you, Marilyn. Wonderful presentation. Next time when you're able to travel again, I hope you will stop by Local Cloth when you're in the Asheville area. Thank you, Marilyn. And now we're going to turn it over to Mimi Foster, and she's going to give us a presentation on alpaca and its fleece. She is loading up. There you go, Mimi. Let's get you live. And we're going to spotlight you. You can go. You're good to go.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mimi Foster. And first of all, I'd like to thank Whitney and Kathy for allowing us to have some time today to talk about Melody Lane Farm, and how we got started, and what is the use of alpaca. I am going to share out our screen, so give me a moment here. Okay. We are located in Valley City, Ohio, and my husband Jim and I own Melody Lane Farm alpacas. We started in the business in 2005, and we decided when we started that we would board until we learned about the alpaca business. Today, presently, these are the things that we offer at our farm. So in 2005, we purchased Mercedes, our very first alpaca. Each alpaca, when you purchase them, comes with a certificate of authentication with the sire and the dam. And 2 weeks later, Sadie gave her first cria, or baby, to us.
Hey, Mimi.
And our herd.
Mimi, can you hear me?
Yes.
We're seeing just your file window that has all the pictures. We're not seeing each individual picture yet.
Okay, how do I do that? Because I can see the individual picture.
Can you drag it onto the screen with the files that's in the File Explorer window? I think, do you have multiple screens?
Let's see here.
There, click on that. I see your mouse moving now. So.
Do you see only one picture?
No, we see the large. So can you move the one picture over on top of the.
Not sure what you mean.
Why don't you stop sharing your screen and then reshare it and see if you can click on the one picture.
Nothing's happening. Go back. See if I can reduce this. Nothing.
We still see the, all we see is that file window with all the pictures as little icons.
Okay, I don't know what to do at this point. I'm sorry.
Can you try, let's stop your screen share for a minute.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start mine. And then we have you on camera. And what we're going to do is try to share your screen again. And when it does, it should come up and there should be multiple options for you to choose.
It says this will stop other screen sharing.
Yes, that's fine. That's because it'll just stop mine.
Okay, so let me click on here now.
There you go. There we go.
We're good?
Yes, we see your looks like a business card image.
Yeah. So we'll start over now?
Yes.
All right. So sorry for that. Okay, sorry for the interruption of technology. Thank you again, Whitney and Kathy, for allowing time today for getting on to the Hand Weavers Guild and talking about Melody Lane Farm and how we got started and the purpose of fiber. Here on our card, you'll see our email and our phone numbers. So at the end, you might want to jot this down if you have any questions on starting an alpaca farm. Some of the services that we offer currently today are adjusting, which is boarding your animals. You don't have to have land to have an alpaca or two, and other things that are on the card there, along with a farm store. We purchased our first alpaca in 2005. Her name was Mercedes, and 2 weeks after we purchased her, she gave birth to a cria, or baby alpaca, and we started our herd. At that point, we decided that we're going to board for about 2.5, 3 years so that we could learn the alpaca business by visiting other farms, by networking, by actually finding out what is the most important thing to make it a success. Alpaca is a lifestyle, and you will learn that as time goes on. It's a very, very nice material. Without a lot of the vendors today would not be able to be here without natural fiber. So the most important thing that we learned first was that breeding is very important. The DNA and the genetics that the alpaca will produce with the sire and the dam create a very beautiful cria, or offspring. This little girl is 3 months old. Her name is Penelope. And the main thing that you want to look for is the conformation of the animal, coloring if you're interested in color. Some farmers breed only for one color, some farmers breed for many. Again, she's a very beautiful girl, and we think she'll do well in the show ring. The second thing that we learned is that we have to have a good shearer. There's many different ways to shear alpacas, but we choose to lay our alpacas out on a mat, and their front and their back legs are stretched out. Here's our shearer. We've had Kyle for many years. He's very good. So when the alpaca is stretched out, it takes 7 to 10 minutes to shear them. And we sort our fiber in 3 different bags. So we sort the blanket, the neck, the belly, chest, and leg, all in different bags so that it's sent to the mill for different product. And then we put them in the final bag. Kyle's able to shear for show blankets for when we do competitions. He's able to do the neck and the BCL, or the belly, chest, and leg, so that we can send them to the correct mills for product. When we do the shearing, we vacuum our animals the night before. This takes out the dust and any vegetation. It also brings back their wonderful, wonderful color. Anna here is able to be the first volunteer for shearing. She's ready to go. So Anna is stretched out on the mat. Her front legs are here. Her back legs are to the top of the screen. You can see here that they've already taken off her blanket off her back. So they're working on her belly, chest, and leg. The belly, chest, and leg is a little bit shorter, a little bit coarser, and that's fine because it makes great socks. It makes great product that is used more roughly than a sweater that would be soft against your skin. More separation of fiber and the blanket right here. This is Libby. She's getting ready to go shear. She's stretched out. They've already finished her blanket. And she's done. So it's not like they enjoy it totally, but they don't mind it. These guys are done. They're kind of laughing at us. And this is Trump. A third thing that we learned in the alpaca business is that the alpaca manure is very, very good. We have many, many clients that come to our farm and they take the manure for organic gardens of flowers and for vegetables. You can liquefy the manure, you can spray it on as a fertilizer, and it's very, very healthy. Organic gardens have huge, huge flowers and vegetables. These are just some of the outcomes of using alpaca manure, which also breaks down your clay soil and makes it very, very sandy. Alpacas come in 22 colors. Not many people know a lot about alpacas, but we do tell them they come in 22 colors, all the way from white and down to gray. So you have white, beige, fawns, light browns, and many shades of gray. I'm not going to tell you 50 shades of gray, but many shades of gray. We spin on a spinning wheel with the raw fiber. Sometimes on shearing day, we'll have ladies standing by and they'll actually pick their alpaca and they'll buy the raw fiber right off the back of the animal. They take it home and they will card it and they will do what they want to do with spinning, weaving, felting. So we start our projects on the bobbin of the spinning wheel. In this case, this is a black and a dark red fiber. Here is the roving right here that you just saw on the bobbin. This is called a striped roving. This is black with the deep red brown. We also have solid colors and more striping. The advantage of this is a 3-striped roving. This is white, deep red brown, and a light fawn. When you draft it on the spinning wheel, it actually looks like it's dyed, but it is not. It's all natural fiber and it comes out with a beautiful, beautiful pattern that you cannot repeat, and there's only one kind to it. We also dye the alpaca in our turkey roaster. And you can do other natural fibers like bamboo, tinsel, cotton, and silk. All of these can be drafted into your roving and make a totally different texture, but still be 100% natural. These are samples of just white fiber that you can dye. I like to keep the natural fibers to their colors. This is the yarn that resulted from that bobbin that you saw with the deep red roving. We have yarn on all of our animals, and it's wonderful to make sure that you can choose your alpaca, choose your yarn. Rug yarn is made from the belly, chest, and leg of the animal. Earlier I said that the belly, chest, and leg is a little bit coarser, it's a little bit shorter, and what do you do with that fiber? So you can make chair pads, you can make placemats, you can make baskets, rugs, anything that you can think of, you can be creative and make with natural fiber from the alpaca. Nothing goes to waste. Other things that we participate in are spin-offs. Spin-offs are done all over the United States, and this is a little bit easier on the animal because we do not have to transport them. So the requirements for a spin-off are you have to send in a sample of the fiber in a gallon-sized bag. You have to send 2 ounces of raw fiber along with a sample of their fiber and a photograph of the animal in full fleece. The certificate of authentication. This is then judged by a judge and it's then spun by a spinner. 1 ounce of the raw fiber is spun by a spinner and they'll send back feedback written to you about the handle, the softness, the density, the shine, the crimp. This crimp is known as a French fry crimp because it's a little bit wider. There's also a crimp that's tighter and closer together known as a zipper crimp. We hope that when we get feedback from the judge and the spinner, that we end up with ribbons. We've done quite well through the years, and we have gone to these competitions all over the United States. In some cases, we've become judge's choice. Halter shows are another thing that we've done through the years. Halter shows, you do have to transport your animal. And again, when you get to the location of the show, you're in the show ring with 6 to 8 other animals, a judge, and they're going to be looking at the conformation of the animal, the fiber coverage on the animal. They're going to separate the fiber, and they're going to look at the crimp, the shine, the density, the softness, the fineness, and all that good stuff. They check the teeth to make sure the animal is healthy. And once again, you hope that you place with good feedback from the judge and maybe come up with a ribbon. Another alpaca here, this alpaca crescendo. Crescendo can give us at least 10 to 13 pounds of total weight alpaca a year, of fiber a year. And this is that medium red brown that you saw earlier with the yarn. This is an older alpaca, over 10 years old, and you're still looking at leg coverage, conformation, and a very healthy animal that is very capable of breeding for quite some time. So why do we do all of this? We do all of this so that we can give nice product and educate people on what the purpose is of an alpaca. Felting, dryer balls, which are very useful, eco-friendly, no chemicals, and the four-legged creatures like the dryer balls too. This little girl just happened to go into the dryer after the ball was put in there. Same with this little one. They won't let them go. They have an attraction to that natural fiber. Felted soap, felted ornaments, accessories, animals, anything you can be creative with. Any of the fiber that's left on the mill floor can be felted, can be put together to create vests, purses, blankets, anything that you can do to be creative. Felted sheets for pillows, for quilts. Alpaca is 7 times warmer than wool. It's hyperallergenic and it's waterproof. This was a felted signage that Melody Lane Farm made for the IX Center in Cleveland, Ohio when we attended a show. And the letters were actually needle felted with every single one of our animals. So we were very proud to post this sign above our stall when we went to the IX Center. We were the only one there that had this type of signage. Farm visits with Melody Lane Farm are very, very popular. We do so many farm visits, and we do groups and autistic and Alzheimer's and Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. They have a wonderful time interacting with the animals. She's not really scared when she turned around. Her mama made her hair that way. But she did meet tenor and Pavarotti. You'll know by now that Melody Lane Farm's name is made after musical instruments. So any animal that's been born on our farm has a musical name. Lunch with the alpacas. Pre-engagement pictures with the alpacas. You can walk an alpaca. They're all halter trained. Another picture with Trump. Interaction with our animals is very important, and we're very, very proud to tell you that our animals love it. They're even safe in COVID. So again, why do we do this? We do this for the product of alpaca. Rugs, woven rugs that are from the belly, chest, and leg of the animal. Very soft and very nice to walk on. Cria fiber, very, very soft fiber, a neck warmer. Felted jewelry. We have for Mercedes and her first cria, a hat and a scarf, a reversible headband, baby hats, a cocoon wrap for a newborn with a hat, a woven neck warmer, socks. These little guys were actually felted in Peru from the poor children and brought back to the United States. Leg warmers, jewelry. This is a silk scarf that actually was dyed, and they felted in raw alpaca. Beautiful, beautiful product. You can get fun with it, find some other things. Crazy hair day. We have a felted pin cushion. So again, why do we do this? Alpaca is a lifestyle. My husband and I had the opportunity in 2018 to visit Peru when they were holding the Alpaca Fiesta, which they only do every 4 or 5 years. What an education for us to see how another country and culture treats their alpacas.
Thank you, Mimi. This has been a lovely presentation. We've really enjoyed it. We thank you for sharing your experience with alpaca. Now it makes me want one.
Oh,
or come play with one, come walk one, take photos with one. But anyways, thank you again for your wonderful presentation and sharing these photos.
thank you. Thank you.
Next up, for our third presenter in this installment of Thread Talks, we have Louise. And Louise is going to be telling us a little bit about her creation and making of a series of small wall artwork that she has been working on. Take it away, Louise.
Hello. Okay,
Yes, you're ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. First, I want to thank AGA to this week of the organization of this week. I think it will be a wonderful experience, and during this pandemic time, it's like a necessity to exchange and meet other weavers or fiber lovers. Okay, I've been a weaver since maybe 1980. Founded the Montreal Center for Contemporary Textiles, where we very early, near 1990, we got a jacquard loom, and later on another one. And during that time, I was the director for 22 years, and I organized during the summer jacquard weaving. So I've been known with my jacquard weaving exhibitions and all kinds of activities. Many weavers came to Montreal for learning the jacquard weaving. At that time, we were probably the only school, like before 2000 years, 2000. So I've traveled a lot. I've met a lot of weavers, but during this pandemic time, I had no access to any jacquard looms. I used to have a jacquard loom, but it was when we sold our house and moved into a condo, there was no room for it, so I sold it. And after that, I started to weave at different schools and universities and other weavers' studio. But during the pandemic, it was not possible. So as I'm a weaver, I could not weave. So I started to do more in-depth study about double weave, and I decided to use paper yarn because during that time also I started to do printing on paper, but I thought I would never weave again because I love printing a lot. But no, I cannot. I have to weave. It's really something that I really profoundly need. So I started a study on double weave in order to make some small pieces to be sold. I have a gallery representing my work in Montreal. So I made a collection of about, I think, 13 different pieces. So I'll show you one of them, and I will explain more about what I do. I'm sorry, it's not the right side. Okay. So this is double weaving with paper yarn, black and white. And this is loom control, like 2 blocks. So I wove with loom control and like sometime all black, sometime all white, and there are different details there. After that, I because I love printing, I went to a laser studio where I had some shapes cut for me on a laser machine, and I used those shapes to print on my paper yarn woven. And then after that, to finish, this is one example of the collection, but in order to finish the piece, I thought it would be nice to do some hand embroidery all around the piece, like sometime with red or black yarn. So I've sold some of them. I'm very happy with that. And so it's just nailed into a wooden board. So this is my first one I started to do in March or April. I started to do these, and I was not completely, I had to go further. So at the same studio, well, first of all, I did a series of pickup double weave. I've never done in the past, and I was always too busy to do that. So I started to do a research on pickup double weave. So I'll show you what I've done. I prepared some on square paper, the design, all kinds of designs. So sometimes very detailed, very small. So it took me a long time to weave a few lines of that. Sometimes, well, oops, I'm going to put it upside down. And at one time I had my picture that I really, this is only of 80 pixels wide. So I was very happy to succeed to do this kind of image of my portrait of mine. And I love it very much. And then I did all kinds of experience. And also, there are two different ways to do pickup. That you could pick up like with the needle, the design that you need, I would do with this kind of design. But you could also treadle and change the treadling every time you want to pick up another section. When the design is very large like this with no very small details. So I continue doing different, and this one was like, I call it nothing. It was just pixels that I put on my sketch, and I wove them. And then needed more precision, so a circle within a square, and then this very recognizable image. And then, well, this is, well, it's French. It means, I mean, it should be, well, it should be read like that, whatever. So it's not woven, but knitted very tight. It's an expression that we have in Quebec, saying that we're very close to our friends, and we keep in touch. And another kind, well, you can see that it's the opposite on the other side. So I did this long pickup, and on this one here, I test to print. So this part here was printed, those little, because I left this large section in white, and then I printed over it. So this was my second step about during this pandemic to do double weave. So you must recognize, well, this is my portrait that I did. This is laser cut. So this is a very different thing. It's a negative of my portrait. And the laser cut, this type of laser cut, you have to prepare your image with either Photoshop, or I use now Affinity Photo software. And you have to prepare your image so that it becomes black and white only on the image. But the black dots, all the gray shades, like between the white and the black, all the gray shades are not another color. It's a smaller dot or larger dot, depending if you want a black or a white. So this was the negative. I never used it yet, but it's the negative of my, so when you put ink over this section here, all the dots like here, the ink would be black. It would be the opposite of what you see here on the screen. You could see a very detailed section of it. So after doing my collection of 13 different pieces, I started to do longer. So I'll show you. Well, it's not finished. I'll show you very fast. You know, different changing the treadling or changing. This was not. This was a loom control, but using different the type. So the reverse maybe will be printed later on. It's not finished, but I want to bring your attention on this one here. So I will bring it very close to it. So this is a very, very detailed, very small image that is very detailed, and I was not sure that it will go very well on the paper yarn, which is coarser compared to the image. So I'll show you. I have here my laser cut. Well, it's right now it's covered with black ink, so you have the right size of it, the right side of it. So it was printed, like the black ink here was printed on my paper yarn woven. So I love it very much. I thought it was possible to do very refined, very small details on my weaving. So this long piece of weaving will be, you know, work or embroidered in some places later on. So I think I'm going very fast. I'll show you another one. So I want to connect with my my series of jacquard weaving. I've done a lot. Many of them were about dance, and I met with the dancers and I did photographs. A lot of photographies on their work when they work before the public presentation, and I made a lot of jacquard, and I'm known for my jacquard on dancing. So I tested one detail of one of my jacquard weaving. So my jacquard was very big. Like my jacquard was maybe 40 inches wide. And it was not a round shape like that. It was a full image, so it was very large. But I succeeded to print it over my double weave with paper yarn. So, and it comes out very, very well. I'm again surprised of the result. So I show you now my laser cut. That right now it was. I have a. Once you have used ink over it, it stays black. It's washed, but it's still, I could use it again if I wanted. So again, this long piece here is not finished, but it was just a start. So sometimes I don't plan ahead of time. I just weave and then I change and I weave for an hour or two, or a couple of days I don't weave. So here I'll do something else over it, and maybe here. So, and these are about more than a meter long, and I have 5 of them ready to be either printed or embroidered or to finish another series of work. So, and I have other laser cut that are ready to use on another piece. Like it's not being used right now because the print shop where I go is closed because of the pandemic. So I'm very frustrated about that. I can weave, but I cannot print. And I do the embroidery after the printing is done. So I'm stuck. So I said, okay, what's next? What can I do? So maybe a month ago, I started to do triple layer pickup. So triple layers is a little bit not harder to do, but I could not weave by pickup. I could have this elongated image here because when you do the pickup on triple layers, so I have a layer of white, a layer of blue, and a black layer also on the back. So you cannot have, if I do the pickup with a needle to pick up some section when I want to use my black shuttle, for example, I would pick up the section here. And well, I would need more detailed information to give you, but right now I just want to show you my visual. So I would pick up black when I want to use the black shuttle, and then pick up the section in blue when I use the blue shuttle, and for the white shuttle, the same thing. So it's elongated because by picking up with the shuttle, the black backside, when you do black here, the back side will be woven with the blue and the white. So that's what you have in the backside. You don't have an exact position because it's one against two, so it's not equal. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. So I did another type with just weaving just by threading for white when I need, threading for blue when I need it, or black when I need it. And then I could have, well, it's the same thing. On the back of it, that section, when you have here, when you have 3 colors, section where you have, depending on what kind of weaving, like this section here is all by using threading, changing your threading instead of picking up. But so you have on the back side, well, pure white, like compared to this where there's a mix of color or blue. So my latex research that I did very recently, because I have another project, I just tried to see what happens if I weave a layer that is not as wide as the other ones, so that if I use that on a large scale, it will be floating. So the back side of it is like, or the back or the white, whatever, it's double-sided. So on this section, it's a research right now. It's not a piece, just a research. So here I have different width of my weaving. So I could put on my loom, start to do a piece with same width for each layer, and then I could cut some of the threads and change the width of another layers. So this was for me to technically verify how I have to handle everything. And my next project, which is completely not started yet, but I think I'm going to do a test piece, would be a large, I would say a 3D presentation, or it's a large installation of about 30 of those narrow panels that will represent my forest. And I like to say that sometime I dream that I would be a tree, because I would live longer. I'll be with the community, because trees live in a community altogether. A tree that is alone will not live as long as the other ones if you live in a forest. So I will represent a forest, and it will be large scale laser cut printing of it. Sometimes some of my poems, well, they're French right now, I cannot tell them to you. Very short poems. Sometimes will be embroidered for the letters. Sometimes will be printed. So it's all in my head right now. I'm sketching, and I asked for a grant to do that, and it will be starting very soon. I will know about it very soon, in the next month. So it will be a huge project that will be finished in the spring, and if everything goes fine for me, it will be ready in the spring, and I'll be looking for a gallery to do it. It will be large, and I would need a gallery that I can hang those trees at the top, and they will float. And the layers, the colored layers, I will use 3 layers like this one here, but the colored layers that will intersect, it will be, the black and white would be in paper yarn, but the colors would be in linen, but it will be shading. And sometimes I will represent autumn, or sometimes I will represent spring, or sometimes I will just represent a time in my life. So the printing and the printing and the poems and the embroidery will be in connection with the theme for each of the trees. So this layer here will come out, will be wider, and it will be suspended, so that when you see it, will be just floating like that in the air, and this will come out more than the paper, the black and white paper.
Wonderful. Thank you, Louise. This has been very informative, and I think we all now have a million new ideas to try to take on. Paper yarn, stenciling, all of this. It makes me want to do a self-portrait as well. You got to show me how to do that. Thank you again, Louise, and thank you to all 3 of our presenters during this hour. Our next event, we have Marketplace Live starting shortly in about 6 minutes at 3 o'clock. As a reminder, this week's events are graciously, generously put on because of our donations to our Fiber Trust program. So please, if you're able, please contribute and make a donation. And we also encourage you to sign up and become a member. if you're not already. Thanks, and we'll see you over at Marketplace Live with Eugene Textile Center.